We have Bitcoin just holding $27,000. And now the big question is, are we going to go test the 25,000? We have tons of support sitting in this area. It was an area where we fought for such a long time to break through. And I do think the bulls are definitely going to protect the area. But the question is, do we bounce before that? Are we going to hold this horizontal support over here? Now we can start to see that the market is starting to look a little bit exhausted in both ways. We're just getting this halt where everything's just sitting. We even have the stock market just sitting. Now this week we have a lot of earnings coming in, which I think is going to create a lot of volatility. And we need to see Bitcoin bounce in this area to know that it's safe to either add to positions or do we start de-risking with some of the altcoins. So in the show, I'm going to speak about these major levels of what we need to see to hold this level, because who knows, we might hold 27,000 and from here attempt the new highs. And we need to know what are we looking for in order to catch that move. And if there is a bit more danger, what are we doing if we do go down to the next support? It's going to be an absolute massive show. No more wasting time. Let's get into the show.
Click, click. Have you heard the news? What? With his finger on the pulse, it's like Sheldon knew. Click, click. When the sniper shoots, we got Sheldon on the chart, so we never lose. Enter the sniper, sharpshooter advisor. Enter the sniper, he marks the charts right. Enter the sniper, he's calling the cycles. So enter the sniper, click, click, click. Time to be dedicated, sniper mode is activated. Explosions in the market are in target and Sheldon demonstrates. Mirror, mirror on the wall, Master Sheldon tell us all. We got Sheldon on the chart, so we never lose. Enter the sniper, sharpshooter advisor. Enter the sniper, he marks the charts right. Enter the sniper, he's calling the cycles. Enter the sniper, click, click. Enter the sniper.
Yo, Banter fam, happy Tuesday to you all. I know the markets are red and it's uncomfortable. We got to remember the uncomfortableness is the time we need to be focused. Many times that the market goes uncomfortable has been probably the best buying opportunities, but we do need to trade with caution at the moment and not jump the gun too quickly. Bitcoin has a level to fight and a level to hold. Now, guys, this is a pre-record that's just happened, I think, about 20 minutes before we usually go live. I need to go for another drip, go boost myself up. I'm slowly on recovery, so I'll be back in action pretty quickly when it comes to the live, but I want to make sure that you still have me every day to help you stay calm throughout the process. So smash the subscribe button, join the family, and to the beloved family, smash the like button and put in the comments below what tokens you want me to be talking about later on in the week, where I'll do a lot of a deep dive within altcoins. And I'll also be doing strategies of how to trade this market either way. If we do decide to go into another week or two of downwards, we've been waiting for May, selling May. And what usually happens over the last 3 years is we actually pumped into May, and then we did start to have the pullback probably at the end of May going into June. And the difference this time is we're actually pulling back before May, which means something slightly different to what's happened before, and we need to stay focused. We got to not forget that the market has done incredible things. So has Bitcoin. And, you sleep at these times, who knows? I remember the time where Bitcoin was making its way up to the all-time highs in 2020. We were also still doubting. And when the market dumped, you see, I know it's going back down. And it ended up, being good buying opportunities, and the market kept going. And that's the big thing. We started to get slight bull market vibes, altcoin season vibes, and all these sort of things. And you can't just remove that strategy and remove that from your brain. You just got to start thinking now at either working with it and understanding how you need the strategy to play out, or if it does slightly go in a different direction, how am I going to adjust it? But don't lose the vision, because if you lose the vision, I spoke about fishing. You need to fish to catch the big fish. If all of a sudden you think we're just going down and you sleep off for a while and the market does decide to break these levels, you're going to be very far behind and it gets really hard. It's time to learn a lot from the past, and this is the time to focus. So let's jump straight into Bitcoin and let's have a look at where we're at. So we have two major supports. The main support that we're on right now are these previous lows, and we have hit it 1, 2, 3 times, and now we're attempting the 4th time. And this is around about the 26,700 level. Now, what you can see below that is the gap. And for me, guys, gap trading right now is one of the best things to understand about where is acceleration going to happen. So you could see as soon as we make big acceleration down over here, this low over here was the previous support. You see this wick over here, and that was a level to hold. And as soon as we lost that, there's the gap and we start to accelerate. So where are the next acceleration points for Bitcoin? And you basically have this big gap over here. If we lose the 26,700, we have the gap all the way down to 25,000. Now, what is sitting over here? We're sitting with obviously the horizontal supports, the important levels of the horizontal supports. We're sitting with the weekly 200 MA that's sitting over there, indicator that we struggled to get above for a while, and now we're finally above it. And I do feel the bulls are going to try to hold that level. And that's why you're probably seeing dominance, looking strength with Bitcoin again, because they are protecting Bitcoin. They sent Bitcoin to 30,000. We finally broke all the key barriers. And at any point, Bitcoin starts getting under a little bit of threat of not holding holding these levels, is you're going to have dominance spiking up, and you're going to have dominance protecting Bitcoin, which end of the day, we need to understand. As much as I want alt season, and I still believe the alts are at great areas to be accumulating, I still think we never got an altcoin pump. And as long as you're getting in before the major altcoin pump, I still think you're going to make a lot of money going forward in the future by learning the process. But sometimes the extendedness of from Bitcoin to ETH to alts may take longer than what we think. And we might still be in the Bitcoin phase. As much as we want the altcoin phase, I still think the catch-up's coming and these sort of things. It may take a little bit longer than what we think, but doesn't mean you must not stay focused to it. For example, Bitcoin wasn't in the buy zone 2 weeks back. It might be approaching the buy zone to add some more Bitcoin to your portfolio. Same as Ethereum. As soon as Ethereum broke $2,000, it was too expensive. And now it might be getting to a point for a long-term view. It might be good to be adding some Ethereum. So just understand that it's creating opportunities where you weren't able to build your portfolio on the big daddies, you know, the Bitcoin and Ethereum 2-3 weeks ago. And now you're getting to that point where you possibly can. And you've got to learn to just work with what the market's basically doing. So now it is in Bitcoin protection zone. And that is these major levels. So you have a lot of support there. Now, the question is, everyone is basically expecting that again, you know, a possible pullback to 25,000. And we want to know, you know, maybe do we hold this level first and actually screw them yet again? And this is how you basically trade it. So what you're looking at now is you're getting to the daily stochastics getting to the floor. Okay, so we're getting to a point where, you know, we're going to have a little bit of a bull response. The only difference, though, is the market likes to move in a direction when we're at the oversold or overbought area. And what I mean by that is if you look over here, you could see how the market got overbought, right? But then when the RSI is at the top, then the market decides to pump even more. And it's the same thing when it gets here. Just because the RSI is at the bottom doesn't mean we're bouncing right now, but it does mean we either going to have acceleration of price to the next support quickly, and then we're going to have the bounce, or we're going to sit here flat for a little while and then the bounce. And that's the question. Are we going to bounce in this major area, or are we going down to lower zones? So what you're paying attention to is the daily close. Very important. Yesterday, we did get a sort of doji candle where we are getting a little bit of fight in this area. But as soon as we get any closes below the 26,700, 26,600, you know, it's pretty likely that we are going to accelerate down to the lower areas. And then what you want to see over here when we get to these zones is you want to see fight. You want to see price come down, and you want to see like a tail, you know, where you have price come and get bought up in a very quick period of time, which I do think, guys, we fought very hard. You know, we've been in a 12-month, 18-month down cycle to finally get past this level. I think they're going to hold it pretty strong. I'm just not convinced just yet. I'm 60% saying we're going to go here, that they're going to send it there, because a lot of people are waiting for these areas over here. And they're waiting for longs at these zones, which is important. So a daily close below that means we go there. Now, if we hold these zones and we bounce, this is the important part, guys, because what we need to see over here is we need to see the market finally reclaim the higher highs and the higher lows, continue that sort of sequence, because what we have here is a possible lower low for the first time, which means that if this is a true offload area, a zone where that was the top for Bitcoin on this bear rally. Remember what I said, above 32,000 for me is bull market. Below 32,000 is bear rally. You know, very similar to what we saw in the 2017 run, 2018, 2019, where we had that little bear rally, went into depression, and then we started the bull market. And that's the question. Are we going to repeat the same thing when it comes to the 4-year cycles? So what you want to see over here, if we bounce, first scenario, we bounce over here. It's so important that we get past the first major resistance. And what the major resistance is the 618. And what I basically did is I took a Fibonacci from the top over here to the bottom of this leg, if we bounce over here. And what this indicates is we need to get above the 0618 and the 786. And that will mean for us that it's not a correction wave. Now, you got to remember, the market moves in waves, and a correction wave is usually a continuation to the downside wave in this sort of pattern. So what I mean by that is we come down, we go up, we make a lower high, which means now we come down to these areas. And it's basically a B, C wave, a three-legged wave, okay, to the downside. And that for me would indicate that we do come down to the lower areas. So if we bounce over here, it's critical that we get through these major areas. And that's basically sitting around the 29,400 level for us to get through. And we actually want to see daily closes above this, okay? And what that will mean for us, that this is then not a correction wave. We can attempt to go break the highs. And that's the big thing. So if we don't get a higher high on the next push up here, I do see it as another offload leg. And from that, I do see another push to this downside over here as the option one. And if we do get through that, obviously it's important for us to break the high and finally get through this area of the 31 to the 32,000, because we stopped at $31,000. Now, if we look quickly on the weekly, remember what this basically means. Let's have a look. Let's try to be, there we go. Okay, is once we are through this level over here, then we can start thinking about the higher levels. Now, remember, when it came to the areas of the previous run, we had this bear rally. And this bear rally went, end of the day, to the 618. If you have a look over there, it literally went to the 618. And if we take the similar sort of thing, if we do have this possible strong bear rally, it is pointing to a late 40,000 Bitcoin. Which, guys, I want you to remember, we broke through the major areas. Don't count Bitcoin out. I know things are quite crusty and things quite very scary and uncomfortable at the moment. But if we do get through these levels, it is a possibility. So what we want to see on the short time frame is if we either bounce in scenario one, which is this area here, we need to reclaim the high. Okay, if we decide to do scenario two, where we bounce lower high and come down to the areas, we want to hold this 200 weekly. And from that, as long as we still hold these areas, this is the scenario that still plays out. Now, I want to give you guys a basic step method. On this pullback, what we want to see, either we hold the areas we're at now, or let's say worst scenario plays out. Well, one of the worst scenarios. And that is we decide to go down another 10, 20% within the market. What we want to see is we want to see the 200 weekly MA be held as support. Then what we want to see is the horizontal support, which is a RS flip. And what that basically means is these previous highs over here was resistance. It was a rooftop, something we couldn't break through. And we finally broke through it, which means we now want to hold it as a new floor. Remember the way it works in crypto is it works as steps. As long as we keep passing steps, I just want to keep a previous level that was a high, and I want to make it the new floor. And as long as I keep doing that, we're in a strong momentum trade to the upside. So what we want to see over here is if we do have the stronger pullback, is we want to hold this level. If we hold this level and we do a RS flip, it's still very possible that we can from here break through these highs and make our way to the higher targets. And my targets are still sitting at the areas of 35, 36. Why? Because once we have bounced, and I'll show you over here, once we have bounced, what are we looking for? We want to break that 29.5, right? We want to break that key level. We then want the higher high. Definitely. And then the next target for me will be 35 as the first target, because we have a CME gap sitting at those areas too. So what I want you to take from this is it is uncomfortable. But if we do hold these major supports, guys, it's a big opportunity. And the bullish scenario is still there to play out. Now, I want to quickly jump onto dominance and have a look where we are here at the moment. Now, what it's looking like with dominance is it's definitely going into a little bit of protection of Bitcoin. And therefore, we are seeing a little bit of bleeding within the altcoins. Not crazy, not crazy. We have had a 10, 20% correction the last week, but it's not as violent as what the market can usually be. But if Bitcoin does lose those levels, it could definitely happen. Now, we have two steps over here. Again, what I am thinking is if Bitcoin decides to lose these lows, it looks like dominance is going to go up, which means big correction within altcoins. Altcoins are going to bleed. But what I do then see is when Bitcoin bounces, I am seeing a lower high within dominance to still get it down to these areas. I still think that this needs to be tested in order for dominance to get to higher levels. it needs to recharge. And what recharging means is something like this, where it goes, it recharges for a while, and then it has strength to push to the next levels. I don't think dominance is going to go to the 50% yet, unless we have a recharge. And that recharge for me is we make our way down to these lower levels over here. And what this creates over here is that gap that I've been speaking about. And this will be the altcoin gap. Now, either this will be on a very big correction, which means Bitcoin will catch up. You know, I spoke to Gareth Soloway, and what he was saying was, if dominance loses this area over here, maybe it isn't a downwards trend, but it means Bitcoin's going to catch up to where the altcoins are to the downside, which means if we have a dump and Bitcoin loses this area, it's going to fall harder than a lot of altcoins, which means by being in altcoins, you're making Bitcoin. Okay. Or the second scenario is Bitcoin is currently pulling back. So they're protecting Bitcoin. And as soon as Bitcoin's safe again, by making the new highs or holding the major supports, then they send the altcoins still to the higher levels. So for me, it's still looking at the sense where this was a big reversal for me for dominance. And I'm still focused on altcoins. I have the two scenarios. Market goes up, I make dollars with altcoins. They're going to rip. Market goes down, I make Bitcoin and ETH because the strength stays within altcoins, and ETH and Bitcoin catch up to the lower levels of where the altcoins are. So that's why I'm still focused on those specific areas. Now, for me, alt season means two things. Yes, you get an alt season where you can make dollars, but you also get an alt season where you can make more Bitcoin and ETH. And for me, I'm still looking at an alt season. Definitely. Until this is filled, that is my main strategy. Now, if you look quickly at ETH dominance, what you have with ETH dominance, and this is an important chart because you're basically forming a big daily wedge, and whichever one we break will show the strength within ETH. Okay. Now, if we are going downside and dominance goes down, I see the ETH dominance going down too. I see us losing this and ETH dominance coming down pretty hard. And what does that mean? It means that altcoins can outperform Ethereum. So all you got to take between these two charts, between the Bitcoin dominance and the ETH dominance, guys, I want you to focus. I'm about to speak through some short-term strategies now for the shorter term. How do we trade this? But I want you to look at the big part of your portfolio. And if you see a dominance fall, losing 47% and a possible 3 to 4% to the downside within dominance, it means you have the opportunity to make Bitcoin. Okay. And if you have the Ethereum dominance that falls down and loses these, it means you have the opportunity to make Ethereum. It means you can have strength within altcoins to Ethereum. So by holding specific altcoins, you're going to make Ethereum. And that's all that you got to focus on right now, is building the currencies that you want for the bull market. Now, remember, the bull market can switch. Everyone's turning slightly bearish. We're worried now. And we were worried 4 weeks or 5 weeks ago when Bitcoin is at 20K. It can switch a light like this tomorrow and be at 35,000. Let's stop ignoring that sort of fact. So the market, what do you do? Well, what you're basically doing here is you're fighting your ass off for that one entry for Bitcoin, for ETH, for Cardano, for BNB, for NEAR, for all these tokens for the bull run. And that's the big thing. And it can come at any single moment. So focusing on these, it gives you an opportunity that if the market decides to be red during May, red during these times, focus on making Bitcoin and ETH. And if we lose these trends, both of them to the downside, you have that basic opportunity. Now, looking at ETH to Bitcoin, it is forming this little wedge to the downside. Right now, it has support. And I took a Fibonacci from the bottom to the top. And we have 618 support over here. And we're still holding that. And what it's basically forming is, I would like to say bullish pattern, where we are forming this sort of wedge to the downside. But the only time you're going to see Ethereum really explode is when we finally break through this wedge. Right now, it looks like it's ranging. Now, I do see it accumulating for another big move, but you just got to be a bit more patient over here. And if we break this trend, then you're going to start to see momentum within Ethereum over Bitcoin. And we want to hold these supports. Definitely want to hold these supports to see when ETH is going to start making its a strong momentum move. And if you look at Ethereum on the chart, it has two major areas. Now, me personally, I'm buying some Ethereum here between the 1700 and the 1800. Where it was too expensive for me last week, I am buying a bit over here. Now, if I had $1,000, I'd probably buy $300 in this area. Okay, until we are sure and we hold these levels. Because when it comes to ETH, we did break the 200-day moving average. We're above that. We're still well in trend. And this trend may be tested. And that's why I'm saving a little bit of capital in case a little bit of lower areas. Now, where did it get rejected? It did break the 2K, which we were expecting some more of a push. But we do have one more resistance, which is this wick over here, which is the 2100. Above that is the gap. And my goal is to use this area to fill my positions before we can break that. May that be next week, may it be in 3 weeks, maybe in 2 months. My goal is to build in good areas of where we've just come through a huge pullback, and we're finally breaking the major indicators, and I got a stick. Remember why we do TA is to remove the emotion. And what it's saying is, as long as we're above 200 and we close and we hold these levels, it's always been a good time for ETH. And if you can see over here, we went into this long bear sort of cycle. Here's the supports. This is where we hold. Now, there's two levels for me on ETH. Is this area between the 17 and 1800 is where I'm buying, like I say, about 30% of what I want to buy. And then I am leaving a little bit of capital in case we come to this lower point over here, which is between the 1500 and the 1600. And this would happen for me if Bitcoin goes to 25K. If it goes to 25K, this scenario plays out and I'm loading out on ETH. Now, what that will do will be on support with ETH dominance and will be on support with ETH to Bitcoin. So for me, it'll be a good area to load up some ETH for the outperformance of Bitcoin throughout that time. So that's where it looks like with Ethereum. Now, guys, I want to quickly explain to you. We have this trading competition, and I think this is a perfect time for you to use everything you've learned in the past year, 2 years, and to come put yourself to the test. Now, you put $50 or $100 into this account. If you go below and you click on the link to join the competition, you just got to register. We have up to 757 participants. It starts within the next 2 days is when we start. You're just going to click on the register and you're just going to register your account. Now, guys, I want to explain something to you here. Doesn't matter which way this market moves. You have to learn to become an all-round trader, okay? You focus on your long-term now and you're saying, okay, like I'm making a smart decision. Maybe I'm too exposed with risk and I got to sort my portfolio out. Remember, you're building this long-term portfolio for the next bull run. That's what you're doing. You're building it for that major bull run to come at any point. But you need to also understand that if the market goes into depression or does go into the slow lagging, you cannot stop. You have to keep making money within the market. And if the market decides to go down, you need to know how to do that. And now's the perfect time for you guys to do that. So join the competition. Anyone that's done school, you remember you have the daily live sessions as well. So remember to join Sniper School below. You got the 3 basic steps to get in. And in the live sessions, we're focusing on this competition. And it's not about the amount of money that you put into it. It's about learning how to trade within the market and what to do. Now, let me actually show you something to give you a little bit of an understanding. Let's jump in over here and let's go into the... I want to show you something that's very powerful to understand, okay? And I'm going to go to AVAX as an example. I want you to look at the chart. Well, let's actually do Solana. Let's actually do Solana. There we go. Okay. If you take where you're at right now, okay, I want you to understand how trading works. And this is how it works. You need to understand when to build a position and when you're going to make money. So the up or downside, okay? And the way you understand where to make money is you make money between the gaps, acceleration points, right? As soon as, if you look over here, as soon as we broke through these highs, acceleration, that was your time to make money. Where was the time to build? Where was the time to get ready for the trade? Was here. This was the time to build up. So what I teach you is I teach you how to understand when to build a position and when to make money. Now, for example, let's look at Solana. Okay, and you look at Solana as it stands, it's basically on the support trend line right now, which means it's about to make a big decision. Either a badass bounce is coming for Solana, and we're going to attempt to break the new highs because we still have higher lows over here, or we're going to lose this trend. And if we lose this trend, you can be looking at a bigger pullback when it comes to Solana. Okay, now what I want to show you is I want to show you that this is the critical area that's going to give you that sort of direction of where we're going. Now you say, okay, amazing. So this is the critical area over here where we're on support right now. If we lose support, there's acceleration to the downside. If we bounce here, there's acceleration to the upside. Now I want you to take the gaps. Now what I mean by the gaps is if we had to lose these lows over here, where's the next major lows? It's over here. So all of a sudden I see a price from $21 all the way to $16. That's quite a big gap, right? So if I look over here and I look at percentage-wise, if we lose here, that's a 22% pullback, okay? And then after that, if we had to lose the next level, there's another 39%, 40%. So if the market started to get bearish now, here's my time to see, okay, what am I looking for that to happen? And where am I going to make the money? Now, let me show you. For example, we lose this trend. We come up here to test, we build a flag, and basically you track that flag and we lose the bottom. Boom. This is where the money is going to come. This is where you make your money. So if we lose this support over here, you need to build your shorts over here. You're putting your stops above, and that's where you want to make your money. So what it's teaching you is before we lose the support or before we go into the gap of where the money is to be made, your position and trade needs to be set and ready. So that by the time this happens, you're already done. The reason why you're struggling within crypto is because you're too late. You're coming when the market's already moving. You need to understand when the market is settling, as I said over here, the market settles and therefore you're prepping and therefore you make the money. The problem is you coming in when it's already here and you're trying to make the money. The move already happened. So you just need to know where is the areas of where the target's going to calm down and where I need to prep. So all of a sudden this forms here, by the time it breaks to the downside, you already prepped with your shorts and you're in the trade. And then the next thing, we have support here. So price will come down. It will build the next flag over here. You tracking it. There's the gap on top over there. And you have two scenarios. We either bounce and we break it, which means you're prepping your longs and you're prepping for that break and you're in by the time you need to make this money over here. Stop waiting for the market to move to prep for your trades. You just need to know where are the major levels. Or you have the second scenario where this comes down and you're prepping and it loses the lows. By the time it loses those lows, you're in your trade, your stop loss is in, and you're making the money to the downside. Now, this is the important thing. This comes to short-term trading because when the market comes down, if you have a look over here, if you're trading any of these even small leverage, even 1x, guys, anything like that, you have an opportunity of making 50% in a market that goes downwards. Now, I want to explain the next thing because you're thinking in two different ways, right? It's now you have the upside. From here, we bounce. Where is the gaps? Here's the lows over here. Where's the recent highs? So that's the gap. So what does that mean? It means I build a flag over here. If we hold this support and we bounce and we break this, I need to be in to make the money there. So I need to be in on my longs. Same thing when we get here. We build a flag. Now you remember, you got this gap here and you have that gap up there. And if we decide to lose the low to come back down, you're in your shorts before we hit the gap. And if it decides to go up, by the time we break the resistance, you need to be in. Why? Because there's the gap to make the money. All I'm trying to say here is these gaps that you see on the charts where you literally jump on right now and you take the nearest lows, this is the money. That's where you make the money, not where you're trying to get into trades. You need to be in those trades when that actually happens. Now, this is short time frame. This is where you can make a lot of dollars, right? But let me explain to you the next big thing. The next big thing is you zoom out slightly. And now it's time to make a little bit of a bigger decision on your higher part of your portfolio, right? Maybe a little bit of your Solana. You want Solana. You want Solana for a possible $150, $200 within the next 3 to 5 years, right? That's what you want. So now what you look at is you're like, okay, I have these smaller gaps over here, okay? And what this is acceleration points. But let me zoom out a little bit and get a higher time frame view of where we're at, okay? We have hit a major resistance, and therefore we have done what's it, an SR flip, which was support. So basically what that means is a coin comes down, it holds for a while, and it loses it. And now that is resistance. So very similar to the RS flip, it's the other way around. And now that becomes a big point. So if we reject here, it can go back down to the lows. So now you understand the pattern, okay? Which means there is a possibility if Solana loses this trend on the high time frame now, there's a possibility of this pullback. Now, if you had 500 Solana right now, okay, if you had 500 Solana right now and we lose this trend, it's telling you have an opportunity of building more Solana. Okay, now, for example, let's have a look over here. If I take 500 Solana and I sell it now, I'm basically getting around $10,800 plus minus. Okay, I'm getting around that amount over there. And all of a sudden, Solana decides to come down to these areas over here. And we end up having a huge percentage drop. And I end up taking my $1,800 and I decide to buy Solana back at $8. Remember, I don't care about where we're at right now. I want more Solana for when it goes to $200. And this is how you have to think, guys. You have to think like this. You work your ass off in crypto for that one entry, and soon you guys will understand what exactly I mean. But if this decides to come down and I decide to buy that $10,800 at $8, now all of a sudden I had $500. Now I have $1,350, 1,350 Solana. Now let's say Solana goes back to $200. Guys, you know how I've just made myself over $100,000 more than what I would have had just by holding my 500 Solana, because I knew this was a critical area, and I knew if we came back down to these levels and I bought it back, that little difference would have 3 to 4x my results at the end. Because if you take your $500 Solana and you hold it all the way to $200, yes, you'll make some good cash. amazing. But if you double to triple that amount of Solana just by knowing when to farm it, you would have ended up having nearly 3 times more the Solana, which equals 3 times more the result at the end of the day. Remove that dollar from your brain. If you are deciding to get out of an altcoin, it's to make more of the altcoin. Otherwise, don't get out of the altcoin. That's very simple. You're here for the long run. You're here to build for when the major thing moves. Why do you think we diversify? Because some are going to outperform others. And that's what we have to understand. And that's why you have a few different bets. Right? It's basically going to the pond to go fish, and you have a rod there, rod there, rod there, rod there, rod there to catch the big fish. The more rods you got in, that's how it basically works. And the only time you are making a big decision now, do I get out? You know, if you need the dollars, yes, sure, put a stop loss in, protect your dollars if that's what you want. But for me, it's like if I'm getting out, it needs to be certain that I'm there to make more of that actual token. So I need you to just understand that when it comes to those. So remember, short-term dollar accounts, if you need dollars, if the market goes down, trade the market when it goes down. Just understand gaps. Go to any token. As another one is example of AVAX. Look, here's my gaps. There's a gap, there's a gap, there's a gap. Which means here, I'm getting ready to trade. If we lose the lows, where's the gap? There's where I'm going to make the money. There's where I'm going to make the money. If we decide to go up and break, where's the gap? There's where I'm going to make the money. There's where I'm going to make the money. Doesn't matter. And if you have a look now, look at these percentages. If we break there strong, you got a 6, so up to a 20%. These are leverage trades and things like that. Guys, stop being a leverage trader if you're not willing to put in the work and understand what it basically takes. Stop it. But when it comes to, you know, and I actually want to show you, you want to make a lot of money. And this is for people that are conservative. I have money and I have, I have money and I just want it to be a lot within the next 3 to 5 years. I'm not here to gamble. I'm not here to learn these new skills. I just want to make cash. Amazing. Jump to the monthly chart. Use the monthly stock. Whenever it gets to the bottom, dollar cost. Whenever it gets to the top, dollar cost out. That's all you have to do. You're probably going to trade 3 times every 3 years and you're going to make a killing. You're going to make an absolute killing. Whenever the RSIs are getting to the top, dollar cost out. Whenever it gets to the bottom, dollar cost in. On any of the tokens, screw the noise, screw anything. You literally use a stochastic RSI, maybe a 20 moving average on the monthly or a trend line. Remember what I like to teach you is a 3-step method. Stop confusing yourself. If you don't want to be a day trader, remember, if you want to trade leverage and you want to trade margin and you want to trade day trading, you have to put in the work. It means you have to be committed every day. And you need to understand when to trade, when to not, when do I short, when do I long. You have to put in many hours. If you're not for that and you don't have time to put that in, then what are you doing? Jump to the monthly chart and trade 2 to 3 to 4 times every 3 to 4 years and make a killing. Because the way that whales, why do you think big guys make money in this game? And I like to call it a sport. Why? Because they have so much patience. They are literally like they waited. They didn't even touch Bitcoin within the whole of the bear market. Now they're starting to fish. And it was the same when the market was in the bullishness. Everyone came late. They were already offloading. They have patience and they only trade a very short amount, 1 to 2 times a year. Not even, probably 1 time a year is when they're buying or when they're actually selling. And that's the difference. If you want to make money, stop complicating it. If you don't want to put in the time to become a day trader and a short-term trader, then just jump to the high time frames and kill it. Put on a weekly stock RSI, put on a 200 weekly moving average, and just trade those. Whenever we break it to the upside and the RSI at the bottom, you in. Whenever we break it to the downside, RSI at the bottom, like at the top, you out. And you will make so much money. But you're going to make money over 3 to 5 years. And that's what you got to understand. And if a day trader, you want to put it in, amazing. But put in the work and understand that now what you have to do is you got to jump to these smaller time frames and understand when to trade. Stop thinking that you can't trade. You now understand that there's the gaps, and the gaps equals money. So you go to any of these charts, I know where the gaps are, I know where I can make money. So here, am I saying, is it going up or down? No, I'm not. I'm basically saying it's time to prep. It's time to get ready. Because we lose here, I'm making money there. We lose there, I'm making money there. And that's where it comes down to. So guys, it's all about the teaching. And for me, again, if this market doesn't decide to go into alt season right now and the market decides to go flat, then I'm just going to teach a lot of strategies and we're going to learn to work with the market and we're still going to kill it. I'm here to keep you committed. I'm here every day. I even get sick at times, but I'm here all the damn time to keep you committed for that one entry that changes your life. But in that time, we have to continue. If the market decides to go bearish now for the next few weeks, amazing. We learn to trade the ranges to the downside. And we start to understand that if we're selling anything on the long term, it's to make more of that token, to create a bigger result for the end of the day of that bull run. And that's the big thing. Have a fantastic day. I love you all. Much love to you all. Say below if you enjoyed this. Smash a like button if you enjoyed this. Guys, join the competition to rate yourself. It's very important. Take small money. It's not about big money at all. It's about getting used to understanding that if the market goes downwards for the next 6 months, you can make it. Stop running away. Just stop putting too much on the line when you're willing to learn. Use this competition to learn. So if you go below, you register for the account. We have bigger giveaways, and that's to motivate you guys. You know, the Tesla, all these sort of things, it's there to motivate you guys for that. I want you to just test yourself and rate yourself against yourself. Stop being scared and stop being afraid within this market. This is the time that you learn. So much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all on tomorrow's show. I will be live tomorrow. Much love. Bye.